This week we delve into the shadows of the Watchers, a new terror from the mind of Ishana Night Shyamalan. Stranded in a haunting Irish forest, Mina and her unwilling companions find themselves part of a terrifying nightly ritual. Do they stand a chance against the unseen horrors that stalk them, or will they be consumed by the forest's dark secrets? Join us as we peer into the darkness of the Watchers. This is Flip Flop. Before we get started, please hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy these reviews and would like to see more. We would greatly appreciate it, and it would help our little channel grow.
The Watchers, Gary, this was interesting. Real quick, Rotten Tomatoes, which we always talk about, has this currently sitting at 32 with the critics and 52 with the audience. So this thing, according to the powers that be, is a little bit of a stinker.
Ain't I a stinker?
Oh, dear. So let's do that, Gary. Let's jump to our ratings, and then we'll get into some discussion about this latest adventure from the Shyamalan family.
Let's do it. A quick reminder that our rating system is unconventional. We don't hand out stars, we hand out poos and TPs, up to 5 of them. And just to add more confusion, the more we give, the crappier we think the film is. Crappier, get it? Yeah, it's dumb, but that's the way we do it.
Ratings, Gary, I'll go first. I come at this thing hard and heavy with 3 steaming piles of poop.
3 Don't expect me to put little steam rising off your poops. But expect me to have plenty to wipe with, as I give it 3.5.
There it is. Yeah.
3+.
So I don't have a lot of notes. As I showed you before our pre-production thing, my only note is that this thing was set in Ireland, which I love.
There's only one word for a trip like that. Absolutely cracker.
Fill your heart with Ireland.
I think the film is beautifully shot. I think Ishana has a great eye. It's really well shot. I really like the way it was shot. I thought very skillful in the execution of the movie. All of the right elements are there as far as directing and cinematography. And I thought the performances were great as well. That's really all I have for the good. So please jump in at any time with anything you've got, Andy.
So what I'll say is if Gary, if you recall, I started watching this film, and I believe I fired a message to you. I was about 20 minutes in, and I turned it off.
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh, do we have a tap out?" And I said, "Well, not yet."
Because it would be the first one for you, correct?
Right. I have not tapped out yet. I've suffered through every piece of shit we've ever put on here. So I took a break from this movie because it just was lagging to me in the very beginning. It just was not. I had no idea what this film was about. I know a lot of people had been talking about this film, so I was like, well, sure, I'm in. And then of course, you hear the Night Shyamalan name, and you think, okay, well, I know her. Look, I know the father catches a lot of grief for his films. I like a lot of his films. I think the guy's pretty good at what he does. Does he have some stuff that's not great? Sure. So you would think the daughter, she's going to be involved. He's going to help her out. And I think he was a producer on this film. She's trying to be like her father. She's trying to put some twists in there. I think she does a fine job. I really do. I have no knock on her filmmaking. I agree with you. This thing is wonderfully shot. It sets a great tone as you're watching this film. For me, it's slow to get going. And that was hard for me because I was like, look, man, I'm tired. I've worked all day. I'm watching this movie after hours. And I'm like, you're not grabbing me here by the throat, and I'm not in. So I stopped, came back the next day, picked it back up, and then got in. And this film it does pull you. It's interesting. It's a very interesting concept. There's plenty of questions about why are they here? Why are they doing this? None of this makes any sense. It's explained to a degree, and there's a little bit of folklore, and it's fascinating. The way they weave this in is very fascinating. I don't know. I would have liked to see what her dad would have done with this, out of curiosity, because now you have 2 to compare. I don't know if it would have been any better or not. If I have to say anything bad about it, it's slowly paced to a degree in the beginning, so you have to stick it out. But I think it pays off pretty well.
This sounds like you've slipped into the bad.
I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just where I'm at with it is, as always, I think with any film, I don't know what the perfect film is. Where you can look at there's no flaws in this. There's things that make you scratch your head. Like, I don't get this, but it almost has a slight It reminds me slightly of a Blair Witch Project in the fact of they're in the woods, and I'm trying to. I don't want to give anything away that might give away, but the fact that they can't seem to get out of the woods. And I was a fan of the Blair Witch Project, so I enjoyed that aspect of the film.
It's funny you mentioned something that jumps right into one of my notes.
Go.
First of all, I will say that I thought the movie fell apart somewhere around the middle of the movie. A good way to describe this movie for what I felt is to say, take Lost, the series Lost, television series, and picture how you felt about that movie or that TV series.
I never watched it, so you're talking to the other people. Go ahead.
You never saw Lost?
No, because I heard such bad about it. I was like, well, I'm not going to watch it.
I could have swore you watched it. Anyway,
no.
Doesn't matter. Lost starts great. There's great episodes. Things are moving around good, but there's little mysteries along the way that keep popping up, and you're like, what's going on? And then as it gets somewhere towards the end, it just sort of falls apart. That's kind of how something that you just said was head scratching. In my notes, I wrote ends with some head scratching.
Right.
Where did it go wrong? I don't know.
Right.
Somewhere it did, because even though I could say that I thought it was a well shot, well executed film to a degree, I think there's something to do with maybe you just have a different sense of what the movie's actually about, and as it starts unfolding, you're like, that's going in a completely different direction than I thought it was. Maybe the mystery's not so much of a mystery than I thought that I expected. Maybe it's not the thing that I expected it was. Yeah. And by the time it plays out, you kind of know how sort of the ending part's going to end up playing out. Look, everything to me just seems like, was it worth the watch? Probably, if you don't have anything else.
Yes.
I don't think it's a terrible film.
Right.
I just think that somewhere along the line, as you're watching it, it just kind of comes apart. Like the threads start getting pulled on it, and it becomes nothing by the end. His daughter is a chip off the old block. I think it's great that she seems to be following right in his footsteps. I just think that unfortunately she also picked up a few of the bad things that sometimes M. Night falls into, which is sometimes his movies just kind of fall apart towards the end.
I think that's a really, really good assertion. Is it does kind of fall apart again? Am I angry that I watched it? No, it was. Look, at the end I enjoyed the movie. It moved a little slow for me, and there were some head scratchers, like you said. And would I recommend this to people? Probably not. That's why I give it the 3. It's like, if my dad says, hey, do you have movies to watch? Yeah, you might like The Watchers. Would I go to work tell everybody, oh, you got to watch this movie? Absolutely not. I'd be like, right. If you could skip it and you wouldn't be missing any watercore gossip.
Right.
as opposed to Long Legs, which we just talked about in another episode. That's when I would say, yeah, go see that movie, because people will be chattering about it and you don't want to know what's going to happen. So watch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Not horrible. I've seen way worse. I'll be honest with that.
I've seen some M. Night Shyamalan movies that are even worse. So, I mean,
I look forward to what she does, because I think, like you said, she's
I agree.
She's got a great mentor in her father.
Yeah.
And I will always be a fan of M. Night Shyamalan, and I will always be happy if anything. There's a preview for his new movie.
Yeah.
At Long Legs called Trap, and I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'll come see this movie.
I give him a chance every time he releases something. A lot of times I end up liking. I think the thing with M. Night Shyamalan, just on a tangent for just a second, no offense to Tangent Station. I will just say, for me, his movie, he's made some really, really great movies, and for that reason, even when he puts out one that's kind of it doesn't bother me too much, because I still say, but I know what he's capable of, and I've seen what he can do, and I don't hate every movie that he puts out after. I'd probably say I like 75% of the movies he's put out.
Yeah.
But I like him a lot. So for me, and to see his daughter kind of following in the same vein, and it's, it's very clear that she's got talent when you watch this movie. It just hit all the notes for me.
I liken it to, it's a cliche for a reason, Kevin Smith films. Just because he made Yoga Hosers doesn't mean he's a bad filmmaker.
Sorry, Booth, that.
Yeah. He's still got something in there.
Snoochie booches.
It's
I will
also not
always-
a downward trend is the problem.
Right. I will always defend Kevin Smith films because of Clerks, Mallrats, Dogma, and Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
And Tusk to a degree.
No, you won't.
But I digress. We're talking about The Watchers. Gary, look, I give it 3. That's all I can do.
Thanks, everybody. Please like, comment, subscribe, and let us know if you saw The Watchers, and put down in the comments whether you think we're right or did you actually like the movie? And what do you think about M. Night Shyamalan movies while we're on the topic? Let us know down below. Thanks a lot.
This has been a Touch of Madness production, brought to you by the creative minds at Tommy Twins Media.